Hey guys, so I said I was gonna do a video talking about um the what we talked about in But Net 18 since the audio was really messed up. So I was gonna do a video summarizing basically what me and Rundecourt talked about. The first thing we talked about was the Curry breaking the 3-point record, obviously huge accomplishment, but then we brought up the debate, does that mean that Curry is the best point guard now? And we basically said the same things that I said in my Curry versus Magic video that I uploaded a couple days ago, which is Curry is the best shooter now, but I don't know if that makes him the best point guard, and Rundecourt pretty much agreed with me on that. He said that if we were building a team and we had to choose a point guard, that we would go with Magic over Curry because of the way he's able to feed his teammates and stuff like that. And then we talked about because Rendecourt's a Heat fan, we said, is Tyler Hero still in the conversation as Luka Doncic and Trae Young? Because Tyler Hero, said, I'm in the same conversation as those two players. And Rundecourt said that even with Tyler Hero scoring what he is now, he's putting up similar numbers to Luka and Trey, especially at the beginning of the season, and then he's sort of slid down to more where we expected his stats to be this season. But even if he was scoring the same as Luka and Trey Young, Tyler Hero is coming off the bench while Luka and Trey are both starters, and Luka's on the MVP ladder. So it's a completely different conversation because obviously Tyler Hero isn't going to be on the MVP ladder. But because Tyler Hero is so high in scoring right now, coming off the bench, we said that he is likely to win Sixth Man of the Year. He's going to have still some competition with people like Patty Mills that are longtime vets coming off the bench on amazing teams like the Nets. But uh, with Tyler Hero scoring, we think that we said that Tyler Hero is definitely in the running for Sixth Man of the Year. Then we talked about where the Bucks can end up. Rendecourt, even though he is a Heat fan, talked about um, how the Bucks uh, are the team to beat besides the Nets, and talked about how even though people say that the championship was a fluke last year because of luck, that the Bucks do have an amazing team. And then we talked about sort of losing PJ Tucker and how that affects the Bucks because PJ Tucker gave somebody that was able to play the 4, so Giannis could play the 5. And I talked about how I was excited that Bobby Portis was re-signed because even though we lost PJ Tucker, Bobby Portis is really excellent at the 4, especially when Giannis was injured during that playoff run. And then we talked about getting Boogie Cousins back and is the Boogie Cousins curse real and his effect that it'll have on the Bucks. And my cat is down here. Sorry. Um, we talked about uh, even though Cousins was signed to the Bucks do still have Brooke Lopez, and again, Giannis can play the 5. So Cousins, we don't know if he'll get that many minutes. And then I talked about I'm worried about the team chemistry between Cousins and Giannis because Giannis is a very humble person, while Cousins is sort of that hothead to instigate. And Rundecourt said that Boogie Cousins is getting older, and Cousins knows that he's getting older, so he's less likely to start those fights and everything. So he doesn't think that it'll be much of an issue. And then we talked about if Kyrie comes back, because he's talking about maybe taking a plant-based vaccine, how it'll affect the Nets. And he said if Kyrie comes back, the Nets are winning a championship 100%, and that the Nets are already the team to beat. So if Kyrie comes back, they'll be unstoppable. And that was pretty much all of that. We talked about the Houston Rockets for a little bit. We talked about they have all rookies right now, and their future. We then sort of led that into Victor Oladipo. Um, and Rundecourt said that Victor Oladipo is great for the Heat because the Heat don't really have that uh go-to player. Well, they do have a go-to player with Jimmy Butler, but it's not like that's the only player they can use. Like Luka with the Mavs, Luka's sort of the only player they use. Same with the Nuggets. Jokic is their go-to. With the Heat, they have pretty much all these players that are around the same level, and so one person can score 30 one night, and then another person on the team can score 30 another night, and so on. And so they're really sharing the ball responsibility and who can score points on the team, and everybody sort of has their role. And then we talked about why teams are blowing leads this season. So the Hawks, the Mavs, the Nets, the Lakers, all these teams have been like up by 30 and then suddenly losing by 5, and we talked about why. I said, is there a reason or is it coincidence? And Run the Court said it's sort of a mix of both, because teams obviously they're waiting until the playoffs for them to go full force, and so because of that, when they're up by 30, they sort of let off the gas pedal a little bit, and so the other teams can come back, and they're not really worried about losing. They're because again, the only time losing really matters is when you're getting close to end of regular season or playoffs. And that was pretty much it for that one. We just talked about teams are kind of letting off the gas when they have a big lead like that. And then we talked about Zion Williamson. I'm not really able to summarize everything we talked about Zion, because we talked about Zion for a while. But we basically said that the biggest problem that Zion is going to have with New Orleans is going to be uh, breaking the cycle, because he gets injured, and because he's injured, he puts on weight, and because he puts on weight, he gets injured, and it becomes a cycle. And the biggest issue for him is going to be finding a way to break that cycle, and obviously that's going to be hard because it's almost inevitable. And then we talked about, is KD the best player currently, and is the we talked about the difference between MVP and best player. So we said that KD right now is the best player currently in the league, but MVP obviously means most valuable player, so it's not necessarily the best player in the league. It means the most valuable to a team. So it's the sort of thing where you take that person off the roster and they drop from like a 3rd seed to a 10th seed, is what we said. So Giannis with the Bucks, Giannis going into the health and safety protocol, the Bucks are probably going to lose the next few games. Giannis won MVP because of that a few years ago. Without him, the Bucks just start losing games. Same thing with Jokic. You take Jokic off the Nuggets, and the only person you really have on that team is Jamal Murray. And then we have the Nets as well. Where would the Nets be without KD? Like, they still have Harden, and Harden's a good player, but at the same time, they'd be nowhere where they are without KD. And so we think that we said that KD probably will win MVP this year, but it's a big competition between him and Curry, obviously. And then sort of the last thing we talked about was Scotty Barnes versus Evan Mobley in Rookie of the Year talk. Sort of like we talked about last episode with JX Remy. And we said that Scotty Barnes and Evan Mobley both have similar numbers, and Scotty Barnes putting up excellent defense numbers, but so is Evan Mobley. And I said that I was personally more excited by Evan Mobley, even though they have similar numbers, because Evan Mobley is playing on a team that is all big men, all centers, all power forwards. So it's going to be harder for him to get those sort of numbers when there's 4 other players on the court with the same abilities that are competing for those numbers. And Run the Court agreed with me. He said that's a very good point. And so he sort of picked Evan Mobley over Scotty Barnes as well with Rookie of the Year talk. And then we just sort of talked about Rookie of the Year a little bit more. And it was a short episode. That's really all we talked about. Since the audio was messed up, I just wanted to make a video sort of condensing everything we talked about. But you can go watch that video. It's still uploaded even though the audio is messed up. But that's really all I have for this one. So I will see y'all in the next one.